see on the top right, it'll have like the stream keys thing. Just copy it. You don't see that? Oh, well. So click on the scheduled stream that you have digital. And then you'll see the thing in the top right, the stream key thing. Do you see it?
There it goes. You're live now.
Okay. Alrighty.
Right, all right. Howdy, y'all. How are we all doing? Welcome back for Split 2, Stint 1 of the IRO's S7R's GT Sprint Championship. We are going to have a banger of a race here today for Split 2. Expect a great deal of speed coming out from this track, the Temple of Speed, as it is known. And I'll tell you, looking over some of the names, we've got to just get a look at who is on track. This is, let's see here. Okay, so definitely some familiar names here on track as we have qualifying underway here for Split 2, Stint 1. Looking at PAG's Josh Moment here, FAF Wade, Darken Azriel, we have S7R's Mariner, Loris, Kepsi, Root, and MRL's Splinter on track. We can all see them all in a nice little row. Hopefully that works out for them to be able to catch a bit of draft in the slipstream and doesn't hinder them as there may be a potentially slower car in front of them trying to qualify. We see some mist coming off the tarmac here at Monza, and I'll tell you that's going to be both beneficial and not so beneficial in the form of actual grip, but the tire degradation will go down as well. So we'll see these racers be able to stay on the same compound of tire for a bit longer than what you would with a higher temperature track, which up to a certain degree will give you more grip on the particular racing set of compound it is, whichever it may be. Yeah, we're just looking at a bit of mist coming off the tires here. Fog, you know, setting in. Of course, we're not going to have any actual precipitation, so no rain here at Monza, but definitely track temperatures are going to play a part in tire degradation. So qualifying thus far, looking at the fastest lap for RA Steverino with a 148.616. Just 1/10 back is Wade with a 148.717. We have Azriel here with a 148.835. Moving on is Loris into P4 with a 149.072. Kepsi with a 149.202. Haas, I'm going to say that is T4HS. So we'll call him Big T, I guess. I don't know. With a 149.298. Oh, MRL Splinter now moving up into P5 with a 149.148. Sitting directly behind him is Kepsi, 0.02 of a second off with a 149.150. We are switching and moving and grooving all over. Names are shifting about on this. It is Azrael up into P3 with a 148.835. Just behind him is MK with a 148.857. Cool with a 149.055. Good enough for P5 thus far. S7R Mariner back there in the background we see, and boy howdy, he got a little bit sideways there. Mariner with an unfortunate 1.5 second penalty. That is not going to be any good for that qualifying lap. However, still got a little bit of time to go. And we have Root in P12 thus far with a 149.549. So just 60 thousandths of a second separating P11 from P12. Pretty tight qualifying going on here today at Monza. As we can see, the sun just starting to trickle out on the track. That is nice. That will warm up the track a bit, give these racers a bit more grip as well. Of course, then tire degradation does go up slightly. Not too much of a concern. As again, it is just slightly. Okay. It is Steve Areno still holding on to that coveted pole position. Track is definitely warming up. You see the sunshine breaking through. Absolutely love to see that. Steve Areno on a tear there in the Nissan GTR, holding on to a 53 thousandths of a second lead over Darkin Azrael, who holds on to a qualifying time thus far of a 148.669, and just very closely in behind him is a 148.717 in the form of Wade, and then we have MK with a 148.857, so just 0.2 of a second separating from P2 to P4, and actually P1 as well. Just 0.2 of a second separating the first four drivers, and 0.5, so half a second separating the first 6, 8. Wow, this is incredibly close, y'all. 0.6 of a second separating the first 8 drivers in the field here today. And boy howdy, if qualifying is any type of indication as to how this race is going to go, it's going to be absolutely tight here today at Monza. Get settled in, y'all. Grab your snacks and drinks. Of course, those being in the form of, well, whatever you like. So, going to be some good racing here for Split to do. Absolutely can imagine some really great racing again, as if qualifying were any kind of indication as to how the race is going to go, we're in for a ride here for Stint 1 here on at the Split 2 level. And yeah, hope you all are ready for this. Don't forget to give Digital a like for the stream, and we do thank him for providing us with this content, y'all. Also, do him a favor, hit that subscribe. Help his channel grow, huh? Certainly would be appreciated. Definitely glad to have you all tuned in here today for Split 2, Stint 1 at the IRO's S7R's GT Sprint Championship, the GTSC. Had to find it there because I had myself a bit of a brain fart. I was like, where's the name of this again? Great job, Mr. Commentator, for getting stuff. Goodness. And I'll tell you, those of you that know me know that that is no big surprise to have me forget something. Get used to it, y'all. Indeed, JP. Keep the cars scratch free, please, racers. Oh, had a lot of hard work from these livery designers and makers and creators. So it is Azriel holding on to that coveted top 1 spot. Forgive me for my silence for a moment, y'all. I'm trying to check for any messages on Discord. Xander, if you could send me a message for the code to join the lobby, because I'm having a difficult time reading names on the screen as it's coming through a bit fuzzy for me on all 3 screens, and let's hope it's not that way for the stream, which it didn't appear to be, but it was small. Is now taken over that coveted pole position. Just minutes left here in qualifying. That'll drop Azriel into P2, Wade in P3. Steve Areno diving off into the pits to grab a fresh set of shoes to come out and try to go for a run, qualifying him a bit better up the field. Boy, howdy, these racers are tight right now. All throughout the field. Even qualifying, not only their times, but their oh boy, I don't know if that was Wade back there or whatnot, but somebody got really slideways, and I'm guessing lost it completely coming out of Ascari. So it is Wade currently in P3 with Loris reading the way, and Azrael in P4. Down on time there is P8. Big T. Splinter coming across the line, not an improvement on his time. We have a new pole sitter in the form of Wade coming in. I think that says with a 148.347. It's fuzzy. I cannot see the names and such. I need that lobby ID, Xander. If you can hear me out there. Loris in P2. Thank you, sir. I will wait until after qualifying is done, just before the race has started, to join the room. I don't want to mess up qualifying. I can't see the channel chat right now. Apologies, though, I didn't realize. There it is. Okay. We're going to wait until qualifying ends to do that. For now, it is Wade leading the way with Loris in P2, Azrael in P3. Final lap for Steve Areno, who is currently in P4. Let's see if he can better his time here. Coming out of Parabolica onto the start-finish straight. Runs it really, really wide, trying to get as maximum speed as he possibly can. Cuts back in, shorten it up, and no, definitely did not better his time there. And that looks to be the conclusion of qualifying, apart from MK now coming across the line, does not better his time. Poole, is he going to better his time? Does not look like it. Okay, I believe that's qualifying completed. We're going to join the lobby now. Okay, we're in the lobby. And there we are. Good to go. Good to go. So it'll be Wade on pole position. Laura starting out directly next to him in P2. In row 2 will be Azrael, and P3 Steve Areno starting out next to him in P4. Joshua in P5. It'll be MRL Splinter in P6. P7 will be MK. P8 will be Cruel. 9 will be Big T. 10 will be Root Metal. 11 will be Turk. And P12 will be S7R's Mariner.
Let's give them a couple minutes.
Yep. We're going to just be giving these racers a couple of minutes to make a jaunt over to the head or do whatever they need to do. Get themselves set up for 50 laps of racing here. As they will not do the final lap, they will pit in on the final lap. But Wade did come across the line with a 148.247. And Loris just in behind him, and I'm talking by thousandths of a second, with a 148.296. And then Azrael, 5 thousandths of a second difference. No, make that 7 thousandths of a second difference, coming in with a 148.303. Next in line is Steve Areno with a 148.616. And then Joshua in P5 with a 148.680. 148.819 for Splinter. A 148.823 for MK. Man, absolutely incredibly close times. We're in for a ride, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an absolutely phenomenal race here at the GT Sprint Championship. Again, brought to you by the IRO and S7R. Split 2, Stint 1. This is going to be some super good racing, y'all. Again, some fine looking liveries out on the racetrack here today. Hold on one sec, bud. Let me get back to that. Okay. Yeah. No, Jonathan, I wasn't. I was doing it off of stream share, and it was just too blurry for me. I couldn't quite see it. So yeah, I tried to make it look as though I'm right there with y'all, and I am, but just not in the way you had imagined. But either way, good stuff. Going to be some incredibly good racing here at Monza today, the Temple of Speed, and we'll see what these racers can do around the track. Let's see it up in the chat. Who are we going for to take Stint 1 here? What manufacturer do we suppose is really going to dominate here at the Temple of Speed? Just moments away from the beginning of this race, we will have an outlap, and then we will see these racers absolutely send it. So it will actually be 49 laps of racing. Two Porsches out in the front, 3 followed by, oh, no, that is not a Porsche. What am I thinking? That is the Merc from Azrael in the Panda Express Merc. Making me hungry there, Azrael. Making me hungry. Steve Areno following in the Nissan GTR. Then we have another Porsche in P5, followed by another Merc from Splinter, a Ferrari for MK, another Merc from Crew, followed by 2 more Porsches, another Merc, and a GTR in the form of S7R's Mariner. So all right, racers preparing their racing shoes, getting some heat built up into them. And oh boy, howdy, let me tell you what. In through the Lesmos they go. On to this nice and long straight into Sakari. They are Ascari, not Sakari. In through Ascari. Then we'll be on to the Parabolica and on to the start finish straight, where we will begin this Split 2, Stint 1 round of racing here at the Temple of Speed. Going to be absolutely fantastic getting into the start finish straight. We're going to see these racers line up 2 by 2, and then it's going to be bang on getting started on this track, as the gloves will come off here shortly. These guys at the back of the pack best make a move on getting up to these guys in the front. Break that speed limit. You got to get up there. There we go. There we go. We're getting them all lined up in a pretty little row. We got to get in 2 by 2, side by side. Here they come. A little closer, gentlemen. You want to be close. All right, look at that. as the beautiful rows pan out, just coming out of Parabolica. Keep an eye on Wadesta here. They're off, they're off, they're off. We are 3 wide already. Azriel diving, trying to get on the inside. It is Porsche, Merc, and another Porsche right in behind. Is Azriel going to be able to take the lead right from the get-go in turn 1? And oh boy, 2 wide coming in through the first chicane. Double file, double rows, and oh, we've had a spin out. I believe that was Steve Areno's, R.A. Steve Areno. Indeed it was, in the GTR. Unfortunate set of circumstances for him. Still 3 wide back here for P2, 3, and 4. Loris drops back into P4s. They're coming into the chicane here. Everybody managing to make it through nice and cleanly through there, but it is Wadesta out in the lead of this race. 1 second gap over Joshua. Azriel in P3 as the whole crew make their way through the Lesmos, headed into Ascari. Things are getting spicy already, as I figured they would. Great looking view of all the racers coming into Ascari. Splinter all over the back of Route Middle. Will he challenge for P6? Coming into Parabolica, and indeed he does. Grabs that position. Great pass there from Splinter. Back up to the view from P3 in the form of Azriel. Just 0.2 of a second off the back of Josh. Looks to the inside with a late break. Decides better of it. And oh, we've had a bump. That may have been a reset for that driver. In the back of the pack there. Yes, Root Metal unfortunately went straight through the chicane and got reset, falling back to P10. Into the chicanes they go. Steve Areno 5 seconds back off of the back of P11 in the form of S7R's Mariner. Back up to the front of the pack. Loris being chased down hard by Azriel. Great looking liveries on track here today at Monza. In through the Parabolica, Loris able to hold off Azriel for the time being. Joshua gaining a little bit of ground on Wadesta here. Joshua the fastest lap of the race thus far with and Crew comes in to snag that away. He now holds on to the fastest lap of the race thus far with a 149.957. You're just at the beginning of what is already some great racing. This pack is tight still. P3, 4, and 5 all lined up in a pretty little row. P6, 7, and 8 also following suit in their own nice little row. Ooh! Azriel falls back to P5. And that has allowed 6, 7, and 8 to catch back up to the front of this pack. On board with Azrael now as we come into Ascari. Is he going to be able to make up ground coming into Ascari? It looks as though he certainly does. Great exit from both of the Mercs there. P6, 7, and 8 following suit as they make their way into Parabolica. Now on board with crew. It is Loris now who holds on to the fastest lap of the race thus far with a 149.628. Loris all over the back of MK. Oh wait, that is not Loris, that is Big T. My apologies. Oh, that flag is totally sideways. I see, I understand, I get it. Okay. Same colors, different layout. Vertical versus horizontal. Had me my dyslexia, my dyslexia kicked in on me for a minute. Following Loris now, pulling purples on board with Loris, trying to chase down Wade. Loris got around Joshua there for P2. Great looking livery is that on Loris's car there. Absolutely loving that. They make their way into Parabolica once again. Loris now within 0.5 of a second of Wadesta, well within that slipstream. And betters his fastest lap once again now with a 148.984. Loris dives out of the slipstream momentarily just to get out of that dirty air and get his braking done under some clean air, and then dives right back in again. Very sound strategy is that. It's Joshua and Splinter in the back for P3 and P4. Azrael chasing in 5th. 6th, 7th, and 8th all in a nice tidy little row as they come through the chicanes, along with 9, 10, and 11. S7R Mariner right up onto the back of Root Metal, and Root Metal all over Turk as well. Oh, and Loris has taken over that P1 spot. Taking it away from Wade, got the move done. Not sure where we missed that, but as they're coming out of Parabolica, rather, Loris getting a great exit from Parabolica and onto the start-finish straight. Obviously, Wade still well within the slipstream, so not able to break away just yet, but Loris making moves here early, just into lap 7 at the end of lap 6, obviously, when the move was completed. Now on board with Wade as they make their way through the first chicane into the Curve La Grande. Azrael in P5 trying to chase down Josh and Splinter up there. Splinter able to get around Josh there, so another position swap. Splinter up into P3. On board with Azrael as they make their way into Lesmo 1. Into Lesmo 2 and out hard on the power. T sending it through Ascari. P10 and 11, potential battle going on here between Mariner and Root. Root's picked himself up a half-second penalty. That's not going to help him catch back up to Mariner, who has snagged that position away. Now moves himself up into P10 and pulling away. Now on board with Root. Getting a good look at the back end of that Nissan GTR. Beautiful looking livery is that as well, with the red, the black, and the white. Or white, red, and black rather, as it were. As they make their way out of Curve La Grande into the chicane. Root able to gain a little bit of ground on Mariner there. Considerable, actually, and is still gaining in through Lesmo 1. Lost a little bit of ground there to Mariner. See if he gains a bit coming out of Lesmo 2, and indeed he does not. So make their way down the straight, headed towards Ascari. Does gain a little bit of ground in through Ascari. The Porsche, obviously the more nimble of those two. As you can see, Mariner definitely pulling away considerably as Root had to serve that penalty there on the back stretch. Now Root coming around. Back on board with Azrael as they make their way into the first chicane. Josh getting a little bit sideways there a little bit. Allows Azrael to gain some time on him. And crew all over the back of Azrael as they make their way into the Lesmos. Azrael under threat again. As we continue on board with crew. Down the straight, headed into Ascari. Is he going to be able to? Indeed, he does get a late break and closes that gap even tighter up to Azrael. Great exit there from both racers. The crew is definitely well within that slipstream and gaining very quickly. Are we going to see a move into Parabolica? No, we are not. We can see Azrael slow down. do, however, see the move coming out of Parabolica onto the start-finish straight, and Crew going to get the job done on Azrael there. Azrael just tucks right into the slipstream and then dives back out of it just to get that clean air for braking. Again, very sound strategy is that. Certainly going to help with the braking and cornering ability to have clean air coming into that race car. Obviously, strategy being a big part of endurance racing, and obviously there are different strategies at play here. It is PHG's Josh, currently in P4, 2 seconds ahead of him, and 2 seconds behind is the Delta. As he makes his way through Ascari and out nice and cleanly. Splinter now within a second, coming up very quickly on Wade. Wade had to serve a penalty there and now is going to give up that position to MRL Splinter, who moves up into P2, just 6.8 seconds back off the back of Loris, who is doing all that he can to absolutely run away with this thing. We can, however, see the power of that Merc catching the Porsche up in front. Splinter and Wade in through the first chicane, both nice and cleanly done. Great looking lines from both racers there as they make their way through Curva La Grande here. Wade all over the back of Splinter. Is he going to be able to? He does take a look. Don't think that he's going to actually make the move here through the chicanes. Very wise decision from Wade. Great decision making, as there is much racing to come. Just 11 laps into what should be 49 racing laps. Out of Lesmo 2 is Wade, getting a great exit there. Staying well within the slipstream of Splinter, and he may just well stay right there and keep in that slipstream as they make their way through Ascari. Wade happy to be in the slipstream of that Merc, as it does outpower the Porsche down these straights. Into Parabolica, though, obviously gaining a bit more time back up on Splinter, as the Porsche is certainly much more nimble than that Merc is. Mercedes a great all-around car, but I'd have to say, in my opinion, the Porsche even more so. There is not really a downside to this new Porsche, y'all. It is a phenomenal, incredibly stable car, and stability. As you can see, Wade now going to take a look around the outside of the Curva La Grande, side by side. Wade diving back in and then going back out, diving back in, playing all sorts of mind games here with Splinter. Great race here for P2. Wade all over the back of Splinter as they come into Lesmo 1. He is all up in his business, is Wade. Out of Lesmo 2, Splinter getting a slightly better exit out of Lesmo 2. They come under the bridges and into Ascari once again. Will Wade close that gap back up coming through Ascari? My guess is yes. But Splinter did seem to have a bit of a better run there this time. It is RAA's Steve Areno with the fastest lap on the track with a 148.830. He is using every bit of the racetrack to get the job done as well. Makes his way through Parabolica with the wide line there. Get a bit better exit speed coming onto the start-finish straight. Steve Reno just off his time right there. It is S7R who is in P10 in the form of Mariner. And oh boy, what was that? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think we're about to have a disconnect. MK is all over the track. Okay, it seems to have settled now. That is good news for that racer for sure. Okay, back up into P5 with Crew. Still trying to chase down PHG's Josh. In through Parabolica. Mercedes versus Porsche. And that Merc's going to have a really great run coming up the start-finish straight. Are we going to see a move coming into the chicanes? I suspect so. He's really on that bumper. Are we going to see it happen? No. Crew backing out of it a little bit just to get a bit more room and get a good exit coming out of the chicane there. Nice and clean. They make their way in through the chicane. Crew's still just right there, and Josh picking it up. An unfortunate 1 second penalty there. Oh man, does that hurt. On board with Crew now. Getting a look at the business end of that Porsche as they come in through Ascari. Laid onto the brakes is Crew. Ooh, and Crew gets it all sorts of slideways. What an incredible save was that from Crew. That was some fantastic work there. Nice driving, sir. Crew all sorts of slideways back and forth through the final 2 corners of Ascari, and man, boy howdy, was that a great save. But unfortunately, it did allow for Josh to be able to serve that penalty without being under threat from losing the position. So worked out for PHG's Josh very well. He is certainly happy to have seen that. Now side by side. Is MK and Big T here. MK getting the better of the exchange. Into P7 and Big T in behind in P8. Now Big T looking to the inside in the chicane, thinks better of it though. Ferrari versus Porsche. Kepsi and Mariner back there fighting for P9. We go on board with S7R's Mariner, headed down into the big stretch, and into Ascari they go. Oh, Mariner's got a great line. He's got a great run. He's really closing the gap now on Kepsi. Will we see a move coming into Parabolica? Kepsi looking as though he was undecided as to whether he wanted to go to defensive, and he probably should have, because here comes S7R's Mariner. Unable to quite get the job done there through Parabolica, but all over that Merc out in front of him. Kepsi does decide to go defensive this time in through the first chicane, which is all right. If Mariner can get a late break, and no, he does not break it quite late enough to get to the outside, which would have given him the inside for the second bit of the chicane there, but just holds off. Deciding to make his attack another time. Just 16 laps into this race thus far, and boy howdy, it's been quite exciting so far. Great chicane there for Mariner. Into Lesmo 1, Mariner using all the racetrack into Lesmo 2, and back out again using all the racetrack is Mariner. Mariner's absolutely on one. He started this race in P last, now finding himself into P10 with lots of racing to go, and he is all over P9 in the form of Kepsi. I do apologize for getting names wrong and whatnot, y'all. It is bound to happen. Who knows how these names are supposed to be pronunciated, but I'll call them as I read them and see them. So Mariner again getting a good run out of Parabolica, well within the slipstream of P9 once again. Under threat from Big T and MK also right there as they make their way into the chicanes. This group is tight. Oh, no, boy howdy. MK all sorts of slideways coming out of the chicane. Loses a position to Big T there. Now it's Big T threatening Crew as they make their way into the second chicane. Into Lesmo 1. Both racers doing a fine job of keeping off of that green stuff, as that's, yeah. Car slightly undersettled there for Big T in the Porsche. Now on board with him as we make our way through underneath the bridge. And the sign into Ascari. Great line from both racers. Make their way into Parabolica once again. P8, 9, and 10 back here in a pretty tight battle as well. S7R's Mariner looking to make a move on Kepsi. is all over his business, an absolute bumper sticker currently. And there it is. There comes the move for Mariner on the exit of the first chicane. Does not able to get the run that he wanted out of the chicane though, and Kepsey holds on to P9 for the moment. Mariner still all over him. Into the second chicane. Does he close the gap? Once again, Mariner does close the gap coming out of the chicane, and again, all over the back of P9. They make their way into Lesmo 1. I mean, just up in his business. Oh, and a little bit of a bump there. Great job to hold on to that race car from Kepsey. Mariner giving him just a little bit of a love tap. Don't think he expected him to break quite that early or that hard coming into Lesmo 2 there. Sector 7 Racing, yeah, absolutely on point. The grid is definitely still tight. Mid-pack, anything can happen in this race. Loris absolutely trying to run away with this race. 7.8 seconds out in the lead is that beautifully done Porsche there. Make that 8.3 seconds now. As he comes into the chicane once again. He is off from his best time. Again, still holding on to the fast lap is Steve Areno with a 148.830, so he is definitely trying to come back. As we get a look of Azrael and go on board with him, coming into Lesmo 1, very tight to the apex there. Lesmo 2 as well, absolutely on the power as early as possible as Azrael high into the RPMs, running this thing for all it is absolutely worth. Great looking onboard from Azrael as he heads into Ascari. Nice and clean and tidy in through, catching every one of the apexes. Great looking run through Ascari. Azrael having himself a really good race, has dropped back a few positions, but again, there is different tire strategies and pit strategies throughout the field. On board with MK here. So you can see Big T out there just in front of him. MK now potentially coming under threat from Kepsey though. You can see the battle starting to brew. And MK picks up a penalty. That is not going to help him out at all. Kepsey well could end up with a free position here, and S7R's Mariner also, if he can gain a little bit more ground coming through Ascari. He does have the advantage of the slipstream. MK MK really sending it through Ascari, trying to hold on to this position. He's got to serve this penalty here. Kepsi does go around, and here comes Mariner. And he is going to take a look into the inside of Parabolica. He too is going to grab that position. Advantageous move there from Mariner. Absolutely had to go for it. Great job through Parabolica. So Mariner now up into P9. Again, he started this race in last place. Due to just not having a good qualifying time at all, he must have gotten caught up in traffic or something, because I do know this driver to be quite quick. Now back on board with MK. He gets a good look at Mariner trying to track down Kepsi here. In through the chicane. And back out as they head towards the Lesmos. So it's T and P7, P8, Mariner goes around. What a great shot was that, just catching it. Mariner gets around Kepsi through Ascari. And now it's MK looking to make the pass through Parabolica on Kepsi. However, I don't think the Ferrari's going to quite have the muscle it needs to get around him through Parabolica. We do have our first pit of the race in the form of PHG's Josh coming in to grab a fresh set of shoes and some more racing fuel. Not entirely understanding what the strategy is here, but you never know. Odd strategies have been proven to work. A rather early pit stop, in my opinion, I think. However, previous lobbies and races have proven that these Porsches can easily go 30 laps on even the soft compound of racing tires. So we'll see how that plays out for him. MK still right there over. Oh, and we missed it. Absolutely missed Kepsi getting that position back from Mariner. Big battle for P7, 8, and 9. They are all over one another and have been for their duration of this race. This mid to back of the pack is absolutely putting on a show for us here today at the Temple of Speed. And I would not have expected anything less. According to looking at the qualifying times, we knew this was going to be some tight racing. Still on board with MK. Wade now diving into the pits. And back out he comes. See where he ends up in the line. Route going round, so he's going to come out firmly within P10. Azrael as he makes his way through Ascari now onto this long straight before Parabolica. Now our race leader does come into the pits. Loris diving into the pits. Going to get a fresh set of shoes and some racing fuel to finish out the remainder of this stint. That is going to give MRL Splinter race lead for the time being. And he still has a number of laps that he potentially could do that will give crew P2 for the time being. Loris comes back out of the pits. He'll drop into P4, but his pit stop already accounted for. So Loris still looking really good as we head into the second half of this stint. Here for Split 2, and Split 2 absolutely putting on a show for us here today at Monza. And the Temple of Speed not letting anybody down and living up to its name, as these guys are absolutely flying out here. Crew clipping both of the sausage curbs coming out of the chicane and into Lesmo 1. Great looking line there from Crew. Does have Big T in just 1.7 seconds behind now is Big T. We are back on board with MK. MK closing up the gap into the entrance of Ascari. Mariner all over the back of Kepsi once again, going for that P5 spot. Now Crew diving into the pits as P4 and 5 make their way onto the start-finish straight. On board with Mariner, does take a look and then to the inside, goes back to the outside, late on the brakes. Is he going to get around the outside of the first part of the chicane? No, he doesn't. Plenty of space given from Kepsi there. Absolutely brilliant show of racing etiquette there. That whole little exchange did allow MK to really close the gap on Mariner, though. Now MK looking to make a move to the inside, in through the chicane. No, he drops back, thinks better of it. Wise decision making is there. Those chicanes are incredibly difficult to get through at speed by yourself, let alone trying to go side by side through with someone. Rather find yourself going through someone. So Wade now in P7 being chased down by PHG's Josh. Josh pulling his fastest lap thus far as he makes his way through Ascari. Great looking lines there from Josh as well. We have a yellow flag on track, and oh, that's Mariner. Mariner had himself an incident. Let's get a look at the replay. Mariner should have been P5. Oh, and it was out of Ascari. Mariner now going to opt to pit, as he certainly had himself some damage there. MK also diving into the pits. So it is Loris now all over the back of T. It is Porsche versus Porsche for P2. Meanwhile, Splinter 17.8 seconds up the road ahead of P2 as they're side by side coming into Ascari. T able to hold off the attack thus far from Loris. Big battle for P2 going on. Lots of speed carried through Parabolica from both of these Porsches. Will we see it move to the inside? Loris definitely got a great run. We are going to see that move from Loris. Loris looks to have it cleanly, and indeed he does. Lots of space given by T there. Again, great showing of racing etiquette here in both split 1 and split 2. Absolutely fantastic to see. You can see every single one of these racers are, you know, they want to win, of course, but they're going to do it courteously. You know, there's no call for dirty driving in sim racing. You see it more often in real life racing than you do in sim racing. Actually, it's you know, just more at stake. Nerves and everything play a big part of that also in real life racing. But as much commentary as I've done and as much racing as I've watched, unless you're looking at a daily race, you definitely see a bit cleaner racing from these sim racers than what you do out of the real life racers, and that's fantastic to see. I think that's the way racing should be done. Obviously, you know, rubbing is racing, but there is a line that you can cross, and you don't want to be that guy. You just don't want to be that guy. So crew now breaking away from MK now. Not sure what happened there, but does now hold a 4.3 second delta over MK. Now it's Kepsey going to dive into the pits. And that will give Azriel P6. And it gives Crew P7. Kepsey is going to come back out on track in P9. But his pit stop now accounted for. So Josh now trying to chase down Wade. Both racers in the Porsche, and both blue and white Porsches at that. We have the number 12 for Wade. And Josh we'll get a look at here just momentarily. Hopefully, if the cameraman works with us, the number 9 for Josh. So the number 12 and the number 9 Porsches, both blue and white, both great looking liveries. Josh almost up into the slipstream of Wade. Potentially can get into the slipstream here through Parabolica, but we shall see. Now it's Big T diving into the pits, and I think the only only one remaining to need to pit is our race leader. Indeed. So our race leader, the only one that has not pit yet, currently holds on to a comfortable lead of 18.6 seconds. However, that is going to drop off substantially when he does take his pit. He will indeed end up losing that P1 spot, but how far back will he drop to? Will it be to P3? And if it is to P3, Josh is right there all over the back of Wade. So it may be him looking at a P5 situation by the time he does take that pit stop. Meanwhile, Josh losing a little bit of ground there to Wade, just ever so slightly. And he is on a fastest lap thus far, is PHG's Josh. As they come out of Ascari, make their way down the long straight into Parabolica, down to 1.1 seconds now off the back of Wade. And closing the gap in through Parabolica. Josh got a really good run through Parabolica, holding on to just slightly more speed than Wade did through Parabolica, and that's a pretty touchy corner. You can scrub speed really easily on that corner depending upon the line that you take, your entry point, and of course at what point in time you get back on the throttle and whether or not you're able to get on it cleanly without scrubbing any speed by getting slideways. Taking a look at Kepsi running in P9, as he can see MK up there just ahead of him, as well as T. So this very well could be a potential battle for all the way up to P6. These guys are still running quite close together as this mid to the back pack. T, though, definitely having a great race. Looks to be sitting pretty strong right now here in P7. Good place to be currently. Still like 19 laps remaining, and now our pit leader at lap 30 does finally dive into the pit. So now we'll see where he comes out of, in what position after coming out of the pits. Got his fresh shoes on and now just putting some racing fuel into that car. Already Loris has gotten around, Wade has gotten around, Josh has gotten around, and Splinter will come out in P4. So now it's Loris again leading this race. 5.6 second difference. And Josh there just 9/10 of a second off the back of Wade, making small gains in time on Wade as he makes his way around the Temple of Speed here. Every single corner having to be done with absolute precision to be able to carry maximum momentum here. Oh no. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Josh definitely gaining some ground as they're making their way down the straight here into Parabolica. Just 8/10 separating these two. Well, it looked like a little bit of a dab of the brake there late from Wade. Allows Josh the momentum, pun intended, to gain even more ground down the start-finish straight. Ooh, really nice exit from Wade, though. Gives himself a little bit more breathing room. Josh still firmly within the slipstream, though, and definitely wanting that P2 for sure, as P1 in the form of Lois is still only 6 seconds ahead of P3, so quite tight racing thus far. Make that 5 seconds now. Larson certainly see those racers in his rear view, though, gaining time ever so slightly on him, and it's got to have him concerned as there is considerable amount of racing left to be done here at the Temple of Speed. This thing ain't over until the fat lady sings. I can tell you that right now. We've got Splinter back there in P4. He's only 11.4 seconds out of first place. But I'll tell you what, 6th, 7th, and 8th place is where the battle has been for this entire race, and they're still running car after car. Separated by only 7/10 of a second are these three cars. Crew coming under threat from Big T now. He is going to take a look to the inside, late on the brakes, into the chicane. T gets around. Crew under threat now from MK as well. Great move from T there into the first chicane as they now make their way through Curva Grande here. MK now taking a look around. Crew into the first bit of the chicanes, gonna get the job done. Great move by MK there. That was absolutely brilliant, but he picks up the unwanted half-second penalty and is gonna have to turn around and give that position right back to Crew when he serves that penalty. Unfortunate. Great move, just caught a little bit too much of that sausage curb. Put it too far underneath the center of the car. You can hop that sausage curb, but the sausage curb has to be just to the inside of the tire. If you get anywhere close to the middle of the car, it's going to give you that penalty as we've seen there, and I hope he didn't pick up another one right there. MK was really close. So now Crew is going to come to the inside through Parabolica. Gonna have the position to get this job done, but MK looking for an over-under here, and oh boy, we got a big battle still here brewing for P7. They are side by side making their way down the start-finish straight. And it's all going to be about who can break the latest here. Crew has the outside, which can be advantageous here. MK with the later on the brakes, he's going to get the position back now. Battle on, and I'll tell you what, Kepsi is, and MK with another penalty. That's going to give Crew this position back once again. Unfortunate for MK. He keeps managing to grab that position and then picking up a penalty, and then now it's gonna end up giving it back. But meanwhile, while these three are battling, Kepsi is just 1.3 seconds off the back of P6, 7, and 8 as well. So Kepsi absolutely on the move, and he has been having a great race thus far. That Mercedes AMG treating these drivers well here at the Temple of Speed. Not a surprise to see that. Very well-rounded car, especially for a front-engine, rear-wheel drive car. One of the better handling of them, in my opinion. Obviously, people have their own thoughts and feelings on such a thing, but Drew now losing a place to Kepsi. Kepsi moves into P8. They make their way around Parabolica. Now it's MK that's going to have to worry about Kepsi, because MK just had to serve again for the second lap in a row a half-second penalty. Meanwhile, T is doing everything he can to run away with this P6, and he has gotten a gap over MK. Another developing story, though, is Azrael up into P5, 1.8 seconds off the back of Splinter, currently holding on to P4. So we have got positions that are coming under threat all over the racetrack, and here comes Josh gonna get around Wade for P2 because Wade had a penalty to serve, and they have got Loris 3 seconds up there in front of them. So from P1 to P8, positions are changing. Battles are happening all over this racetrack. Incredibly difficult to try to keep up with the action that's going on here at the Temple of Speed for Split 2, Stint 1. This has been an action-packed race here thus far, and boy howdy, we have got some racing left to go, and it ain't over until the fat lady sings, proverbially. So Josh now moving up into P2. Meanwhile, let's get a look back at Azrael again, gaining on Splinter, just 1.2 seconds off the back of Splinter, very nearly into the slipstream as they make their way around Curva La Grande into the chicane number 2 here. Azrael hopping that curve just nicely there as they make their way into Lesmo 1. Is he going to gain any time? And indeed he does. Time's dropping down. Azrael now firmly within the slipstream of Splinter. So now P4 is coming under threat from P5, and the battles just continue here today at Monza. And boy howdy, I knew this was going to be some great racing in this split, simply due to the qualifying times. Here comes Azrael now, less than a half a second off the back as they make their way into Parabolica. Both Mercedes AMG drivers here have had a really great race here today. boy, he is just right there. 0.2 of a second now. Is going to take a look through the chicane. Oh, and a late move from Azrael, side by side to the first bit. Splinter able to just hold him off. Azrael getting a better run at it. Another move coming through Curve La Grande here. Side by side coming into it. Azrael having to back out of it a little bit, jumps back into the slipstream. Now he's going to get a good look coming into the second chicane. Late on the brakes, but not late enough. Splinter doing a great job to keep Azrael at bay here as they make their way into Lesmo 1. Ooh, Splinter goes a little wide. That allows Azrael to gain the to close that gap up even more and into Lesmo 2. Splinter just keeping that car right where it needs to be able to hold him at bay. Little bump from Azrael as they're making their way in through to Ascari. Azrael backs out of it. He's going to get the run and potentially go for the pass here on the exit. And yes, he does get a good run. Splinter doing a fantastic job, though, to keep Azrael at bay for the time being as they make their way into Parabolica once again. Spectacular racing here being done today at the Temple of Speed. Absolutely couldn't ask for a better race throughout the field today. Oh, and P6 and P7 side by side as Big T makes his way around to MK now. Now Azrael's coming around alongside of Splinter. He's going to get the job done here coming into turn 1. The other death chicane in the game. So Azrael now getting the job done. Moves up into P4 on Splinter. Big battle for P6 and 7 still brewing here. MK got back around Big T again. Big T had just taken that spot from him. MK doing a brilliant job here today. This battle for P6 and 7 just keeps changing hands over and over again. Porsche versus Ferrari, probably the best matchup I have seen thus far between two competing manufacturers. Just brilliant racing. Here comes Big T again. Round the outside of the chicane. Oh no, this is Ascari. My apologies. I was looking at the wrong portion of the track there. So MK able to hold off Big T, but here comes Kepsi once again. Now it is again a 3, 4, almost 5-way battle. For P6. No, it's a 4-way battle. 3 currently. But Kepsi is on the move, or Crew rather is on the move, trying to catch up and make this a 4-way battle for P6. On board with Kepsi as they make their way around Curve La Grande and coming into the second chicane. Oh, and Kepsi gains a lot of ground there. Can he get the exit? He did get a decent exit. Probably wasn't as good as he would have liked because he was late on the brakes and really sent it into that chicane there. And boy, he sent it hard. Now coming through Lesmo 2. Is he going to get a good enough exit here to creep right back up onto T, he is definitely right there on the edge of the slipstream, if not into it. But I'll tell you, if MK and T continue to battle the way they have been, lap after lap after lap, this is definitely going to be a four-way battle for P6, and that is the last thing MK wants. He is having himself a battle with Big T, trying to keep that Porsche at bay. Meanwhile, PHG Josh has caught up to the back of Loris. So now it is a 2.5 second difference between P1, P2, and P3. Things are getting spicy with just 9 laps remaining in this race, and oh man, boy howdy. And it's just about time for me to start thinking about switching to the next race. And I don't want to. This has been such great racing here in Stint 1, Split 2, man. I don't want to go anywhere. 0.7 of a second now. Loris has had to serve a penalty. He's going to lose that position and potentially one more as Wade is coming hot on his heels into Parabolica. Loris is definitely under threat from losing that position as well and falling from P1 back to P3. Wade is hot on his heels, just 0.2 of a second. Separate the two. And he's going to make this move coming into the chicane, I guarantee it. Yeah, there he goes. He comes around on the inside. Lewis is not going to be able to hold him at bay. Oh, and they go side by side. A little tap there from Lewis and Wade. That's hard fought racing for P2 right there, is that. This battle is far from over everywhere on this racetrack. MK under serious threat from Big T again. Big T under threat from Kepsi, so I can guarantee it. Probably the guy that is feeling the heat of this battle the most currently is Big T, because he not only has to try to make his way around MK, but he is also under threat from Kepsi this entire time too. So not only does he have to gain a position, but he's under threat for losing a position the entire time. Big T having an incredible race here for round 3 of this GT Sprint Series Championship. Has just been absolutely incredible through round 3. The crew is definitely falling off the back of this pack. So it is still just a 3-way battle for P6. But man, has it been a good battle. Loris doing an absolutely incredible job, still holding on to P2. And still has Josh within 2 seconds of him. As they make their way through Ascari once again. Is Loris going to come under threat into Parabolica? He's not quite close enough to make a move there. It would have to be a really late dive bomb, and these racers are just not doing that. The racing etiquette here today has been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of paint swapping, so a little bit of rubber tire touching and door handle to door handle racing, but man, absolutely epic. Good, fair, clean racing throughout the pack here today. Temple of Speed providing some super quick racing, and all of these drivers are absolutely hungry to set up their teammate who's going to be coming in to their racing stint in just a few short laps. And T's making his move on MK once again, side by side through the chicane. And here comes Kepsi as well. Big battle for P6 is still going on. Man, these guys have been just absolutely relentless with one another. But I can tell you right now, although Big T is still under threat from MK, he's feeling a whole lot less pressure being in the front of this three-way versus being in the middle of it. That middle spot is a tight, difficult spot to be in. Now MK is definitely under threat from Kepsi. T now is making his move. He's trying to get out of this slipstream. He knows that right now is the time for him to run and get away with just a few short laps remaining in this race, and he's doing all that he can, but it's just so difficult to get out of the slipstream of somebody when it's a two-car. Here goes Kepsi into Parabolica, looking to the inside of MK. Looks like he's going to get the job done. They're side by side coming out of the start-finish street, but Kepsi is in the slipstream of Big T. And oh boy, howdy. Job done. Kepsi up into P7. Big T needs to take advantage of that and get away from Kepsi. That Mercedes, though, has just got the power that Ferrari does not. He's going to be able to gain even more ground on these straights versus what the Ferrari was going to do. But of course, it makes it even more difficult for Big T because two cars are faster than one. That's just the facts. So to lose Kepsi and MK is going to be an absolute chore. But he's done it. Big T has done it. He's managed to get just outside of the slipstream of Kepsi. Not sure exactly where he gained that ground at, but coming through Ascari, he better not lose it again, because this long straight again here will allow them to catch back up. And Kepsi has gotten the better exit out of Ascari. He is now right on the edge, if not in the slipstream once again. Through Parabolica, he has got to gain some ground, and the Porsche does gain a little bit of ground, but he loses it again. Kepsi has a great run through Parabolica and is now putting a little bit of gap to MK. Oh man, boy howdy, this battle for P6 has been brilliant. Exciting stuff right here. Kepsi right back firmly within the slipstream of Big T. And man, Big T just cannot catch a break here. Still a brilliant battle brewing for P1, 2, and 3 though as well. Wade, I think, is just biding his time here and just comfortable with where he is at. I don't think he's trying to push the issue too much to get around Loris. I think that if he wanted to, I think that the move is there. I think he's just biding his time and waiting for the most opportune moment to make that pass. And ideally, the most opportune point to make that pass is going to be on the final lap, on the final corner, through Parabolica, and get the move done at the end of coming out of Parabolica, giving Loris no opportunity for a comeback. That is the ideal place and time for him to make that move. Otherwise, he can just sit back like he is right now, conserve on his tires, conserve on his fuel, and just allow the race to come to him. But the thing is, Loris is not done. He is caught back up to Josh firmly within the slipstream again. So three-way battle for P1 is on. Three-way battle for P1, 2, and 3, and a three-way battle for P6, 7, and 8. The racing has been monumental here at the iconic Temple of Speed. Incredible showing for Split 2, Round 3 of the GTSC. Absolutely phenomenal racing here today. Loris all over. Wade seeming to fall back, and indeed is out of the slipstream. He needs to close that back up. I'll tell you what, Loris is having himself an absolutely smashing race here today. And here he goes, trying to take a look around to the outside. Josh closes the door, unable to secure the position there. Loris wants absolutely nothing to do with what I just laid out as a scenario. He knows he has got to make this happen. And I don't see how in the world I am going to leave this race. I am going to have to come into my next stint slightly late. We cannot have this not commentated. This has been such brilliant racing. These racers deserve to have every moment of this race commentated. So, Xander, if you're listening, give a heads up to the next color commentator and tell him to take the lead for the beginning of the race. I will join late. If that is acceptable with you, sir, I don't see how it couldn't be. I'm sure yourself, as well as all of the chat, certainly want to see how this plays out. Josh has opened up just the slightest little bit of a gap to Loris once again, but down that straight, it is these three cars that are battling it out, all three Porsche manufacturers, and this thing is going to come down to the wire. Splinter, yeah, gaining a second there on Azrael as well. Big T still in P6 with MK in P7, Crew in P8. We have Kepsi has fallen back to P9. What happened there? Kepsi losing the position to Crew. Oh, wow. Mariner in P10. Steve Areno making his way back up into P11. Hard fought into P11. He has had to come back from the very beginning of this race. Well done, Steve Areno, for not giving up. Absolutely brilliant. Root has obviously had himself an incident and has gotten damage to that Porsche, so certainly not going to making any comebacks for Root here. He's just trying to mitigate the time losses. All he can do now for his teammate coming into the next stint. But here it is, Josh under huge threat in P1, under big threat. Loris very momentarily in P1. Little bang there, and Loris gets the job done. Now Josh is under threat from Wade, and oh man, this three-way battle has just become very hot here. This is, I believe, the final lap as they make their way through Curve La Grande side by side. It's darn near a three abreast coming into the chicane, and oh man, boy howdy. Loris goes a little bit wide, Josh goes a little bit wide, Wade goes a little bit wide. All of them pedal to the metal, absolutely sending it around this racetrack. This is either the penultimate lap or the final lap. I think this is the penultimate lap. I think they have one lap remaining. Josh now trying to take a look around the outside, coming through Ascari. Oh, bumper to bumper. Loris doing a fantastic job holding on, but it is not over. Loris has to go defensive here. He cannot let Josh get back around him. Josh taking a look to the outside of Parabolica. Oh, and he gets a good run, trying to hold on to it there, but unable. Loris definitely still holding on to that position, and boy, this battle, oh man, really great racing here. Congratulations to all the racers in this lobby, doing an incredible job. Josh taking a look to the outside, just the same exact move as Loris did, and oh, Josh now going to lose the position to Wade, and he is not happy about that. That was a little bit, just a slightest little bit of a skirmish there, but Josh definitely losing out. But the race is not over, buddy. Keep going, keep going. Loris now with a half a second lead over Wade as they make their way through the Lesmos. This is definitely the final lap. On the big long straight coming into Ascari for the final time. It's Loris out in front. Loris gets a great run through Ascari. Wade got a great exit. Josh falling back a little bit. Will we see a desperation move? I really don't think so. The racing etiquette is just too high. It's just too high for that to happen. Here comes Loris around final corner and into the pits, and it will be Loris by 0.3 of a second. Following is Wade, then Josh. All right, I have to find the other lobby now. Josh into P3, Azrael into P4, Splinter in P5. It is MK in P6 again. Oh, and Big T goes way wide and gets sent off into the gravel. He's going to lose that position to Crew. Is he going to lose it to Kepsi? Wow. Great racing. So it's Splinter in P5. MK does get P6. P7 belongs to Crew. Kepsi in P8. T in P9. Mariner in P10. Steve Areno will come away with 11. And Root will come away with P12. Absolutely incredible, incredible racing here. No, Loris certainly did not give up any space whatsoever. You are definitely correct about that. And I have got to go find this other lobby now as I'm already late. Need the code for that lobby. Let's see here. Oh, I'm such in a hurry to try to find this. And I need to just slow down because the more I speed up. Okay, so it's Mr. Casual that's live.